Alright, howdy ho folks. Multiversal Medium here for another episode of Harvestella. A game that just keeps getting worse. Anyways, last episode we found out a kid's being abused at home. Again. Actually, we found out 2 kids were being abused at home in various forms of neglect. Again. This episode, I guess we're gonna force the kid to go to his home of neglect and abandonment issues. Well, it's probably supposed to frame it in a good light and how the parents will change. But let's be honest. For how long? Anyways, wait. I don't want to go home. I bet my mom and dad aren't even worried about me. They don't love me. You don't know that for sure, or you gotta talk to him face to face. I don't like either of these options. Like, obviously the child ran away from home to try and garner attention in this scenario, because the child does not have any attention. It's a lot of scenarios where the child does threaten to run away or try to run away. It's because in the home scenario, they're being neglected in some way, shape, or form, or they feel slightly neglected in some way, shape, or form. A lot of the times, it's not pure actual neglect, but in this scenario, it is. The child is being neglected. So both of these, I don't know. Let's just say you don't know that for sure. I do too. Look, I just know. I think part of the issue when it comes to writing children for a lot of people is they assume a child isn't going to know anything about how they feel or about how things actually may be. Child views are naive in nature because they are usually very one-to-one views. A child won't pick up on a lot of subtext in various things, but that doesn't mean the child isn't able to view the picture of what they're seeing. And that's a lot of the issues when it comes to writing. I joked around earlier that this kid was dumb or whatever. No, he was honestly just viewing what he was seeing one-to-one. And although there was the subtext that his parents are working, there's also the possible subtext that his parents don't want to be home. So the child acting the way they were acting is natural, honestly. I'm staying in the forest. Hike! But now everything's supposed to be good because this is a story and it's supposed to teach kids that your parents do care about you even when they neglect you. And this is what I meant when I hate this media and this overused story trope. Oh, thank goodness, we were so worried. Mom? Dad? What are you doing here? We were looking for you everywhere. Naturally. Where were you all this time? Are you hurt? I hope you didn't see anything scary. Don't you need to be at work? Like, you are much more important to us than work. But you're always at work. You never spend any time with me. Sorry, Ike. You've obviously been feeling very lonely. You've had to put up with us being absent for so long. And really, we should have been at home indulging you this whole time. This is starting to sound like some weird fulfillment fantasy. Like, yeah, my parents weren't ever around, and yeah, I showed them by running away, and now that I ran away, they're like, we need to always take care of you and just, like, spoil you and stuff. This is starting to feel like that. Which is how these stupid stories and this trope in media almost always go. Mom, Dad. Ducking was the right thing to do. Communication It helps when it comes to relationships. Who would have thought? Even though this is not usually how this scenario would go. Yeah. Sorry I made you worry. As long as you're safe, that's all that matters. Come on. I've got a nice hot dinner ready for you at home. I'm going home now. Thank you for sticking with me. Could you thank that omen for me too, please? Yeah, sure, whatever. If he's still there to thank, that is. Well, see you later. Thanks again. Bye. You get your happily ever after walk into the sunset ending. Good for you, kid. Yeah, I didn't finish the 2 stories last episode, but one of them was related to it's getting closer to Christmas, which means certain movies are out and they tend to follow a certain theme thematically. That theming tending to be, hey, we're workaholic parents and we neglect our child who just wants to, enjoy Christmas for the holidays, but we're workaholics. And they are just like comically neglectful. Like comically, it's so hammed up. The kid will say something and the parents being workaholics will like just misinterpret what he said because they totally weren't listening. Every single time the kid talks, it's like, hey, can we go see Santa? It's like, oh, you want to go to Santa Monica? Oh yeah, kid, like I make enough money, I'll fly you to Santa Monica. It's like that kind of comedic level neglect that you will see in some of these movies. But then, oh, hey, the parents eventually learn their lesson and that it's important to be with family and listen to them for Christmas. And yeah, that's the entire moral. Meanwhile, those parents aren't going to change. There's no reason for them to. Quite literally, yeah. Some people like spending the holidays together with their family, but these parents in this media, the parents of that kid or whatever have showcased, they don't want to be doing that. That kid's parents are going to, like, immediately fall back into being workaholics and neglecting that kid. Like, one instance of we need to change, usually, especially for that long a history of the abuse, usually does not elicit change unless it's a major wake-up call. And those Christmas movies try to give the quote-unquote major wake-up call. It just, we need to stop normalizing abuse and neglect and saying it will get better and it's just fine, we'll move past this. People need to be called out on the abuse and neglect and the stuff, man. It's got to stop being normalized as just well, I used to be that way, but let's just laugh it off and move forward. Haha, yeah. You gave your child like an emotional like handicap in the future. They're not going to trust people in the future. You screwed your child over by doing that. Anyways, it's you. Did you return the child home safely? Yeah, sure, whatever. If you can call a house like that safe. I see. His parents came and found him. So they were looking for him, as I thought. It's for the best that they reconciled. There is only a low chance now that that boy will come back to the forest on his own and endanger his own life again. I can now focus on my mission. Is that how you really feel, or... It's okay, you don't have to act tough. Is that how you really feel? I only stated facts. Like, honestly, my character has no reason to assume this omen got attached to the kid. Any interaction with this omen, the omen has been upset with how the child is acting. There's no reason for me to assume the omen did not mean what they just said. But hey, this game is filled with tropes and just immediately goes for, yeah, but you must have loved hanging out with that kid, because that's how this story usually goes, right? You miss him, don't you? Wouldn't you like to see him again? Like that's what I'm saying. Like, there's no reason for this dialogue at this point. Why would you say such a thing? It would be illogical to form any kind of attachment to the little boy. Your kind and mine are not meant to mix anyways. That sounds a whole lot like segregation, and that's racist. Yes, this couldn't have ended more appropriately. Dude, am I gonna find like omen-only bathrooms? Or able-only bathrooms? Because this is starting to get really racist. Yet. What is this? Inexplicable noise. Oh, what do you mean noise, man? Maybe you started to care about him, or did you want to play with him more? I don't know, maybe you started to care about him. I don't like either of these options because it makes zero sense, and this part of the cutscene doesn't need to happen. It really doesn't. Care? No, that can't be right. But it's true that I am experiencing something that I am unable to put into words. And you don't have a good dictionary or thesaurus back home, do you? I hope you figure out what that noise is. Yes, I hope so too. I want to get to the bottom of this noise. Although I am uncertain if I will find an answer, or if there's even any sense in investigating it at all. Not really. However, that is what I would like to do. Sounds like it'll take a long time. Yeah. I don't need to know when you figure it out, just sounds like it'll take a while. That is no problem. Unlike you Ables, we are not subject to the constraints of time. You think that. But I'm pretty certain even if you're made of metal, you're gonna break down eventually, man. Thank you for this experience. I will record it firmly in my memory. Farewell. Cool, cool. So no reward? What? So no BJ? Suspicious letter. Complete. Money, seeds, wheat. Alright. Alrighty. Why the heck not? Anyways, I'm tired of the trope of, hey, we have this heartwarming movie. It starts out with someone being horribly abused and neglected in a lot of scenarios that arguably isn't okay. And it's the kind of thing like the older generation thinks is okay because they haven't been to therapy and they're still dealing with that level of abuse and neglect, basically. And they just don't want to accept that it was abuse and neglect because it would mean they have been suffering from abuse and neglect their entire life. So we're going to normalize that this child is facing that horrible abuse and neglect and just say, oh, don't worry, we'll change it, it'll be better. And move on. Yeah, I'm tired of that. Like, insufferably tired of it. Let's just go back to the entrance, actually. Walk all the way through this area. Because it's just not good storytelling. It really isn't. It makes zero sense in any world setting to just be like, yeah, my parents said they'd stop leaving me home alone like 6 days out of the week, and the one day they are home, they just sleep it off or whatever. They said they were going to do that, and I totally trust them now. No. Kids are naive, but they're not stupid. I joke about kids occasionally being stupid in this game, but they're not. Kids are usually a lot freaking smarter than adults in a lot of scenarios. They really are. They're usually able to pick out something that's fairly obvious, but with the jaded eyes of an adult, they refuse to look at. That's why the entire of kids call it how it is a trope. Kids are able to actually see what the heck's in front of them, unlike a lot of adults, basically. It's getting late, actually. Let's just keep fighting. Get a level or something in real quick. Anyways, the other story I wanted to talk about last episode. Yeah, Farmasia came out. It has horrible reviews for a farming game, at least on Steam. And people were asking about it on a subreddit. And I mentioned, yeah, I'll probably pick it up when it's on sale. Maybe play it with a few friends and crap talk it like I do Harvestella. And people were upset that I think this game is bad. I want to say if you've gotten to this episode, you probably feel like I'm justified in what I'm saying is bad. Because, yeah, I'm at least saying this is bad in the direct context of when it's being showcased and explaining why it's bad. At least I'm trying to.
Let's get this over with.
This game has a lot of issues when it comes to writing and world building and characterization and everything. So I'm trying to just point those out. Also, I understand like other people's sentiment and view that the game may not be as horrible as I portray it. Simply because they weren't as critical while looking at and partaking it. It's something I'm pretty certain I brought up in an earlier episode that my fiance didn't notice how bad the game was when she was playing it. She didn't outright enjoy it, but she thought it was just so mediocre. And that's the reviews for this game. It's so mediocre, maybe a bit above average because of some people may have liked here and there. Maybe they liked the art design, whatever, who cares. But ultimately the game is not anywhere near peak for any of the genres it's in. So, ooh, what's this? That looks like an end game tower thingy. Yeah, it's getting late. So, the fact that a lot of people were saying, like, how could you dislike it? Makes sense in a way as well as doesn't. It's the classic, I said an opinion on the internet kind of thing. Earns me money when shipped. Yeah, sure. And if you've been on the internet to any degree, you know the second you talk about your opinion, people are going to be upset at you for it. It's the long and short of it. Like, that's the actual annoying bit, because like it's almost always sharing an opinion. It's not even saying like objectively this is just facts. Obviously people will get upset about hearing facts too, because like a lot of people don't like admitting facts. But sharing an opinion, it's like, hey, I feel this way about something. People will almost always be like, oh, screw you for feeling a certain way about something. Anyways. Van says, we gotta do something. Hey, Ein, you can cook, right? If you can, then you've got to help my dad. He hasn't been able to come up with a new recipe for the inn in weeks. And it's really getting to him. I want to help, but I don't know how to cook. So please, Ein, you gotta help him. If you bring something tasty, then it might just spark my dad's imagination again. I'm begging ya. Dude, I had to put 2K down just for the dude to hook up the gas and the water to my kitchen. Food delivery. You can earn money in food recipes by delivering certain dishes. Okay, well, I guess that's more of a proper usage of the cooking system. Do I get a hint as to what the actual dish is, or am I just going to be tossing food dishes at this dude until it's like, yeah, that's the one that's worth a good bit of money, and I'm just out of money until then, basically. Because, if it's just kind of up in the air about whether or not the food dishes I'm delivering are worthwhile, and I don't get properly paid for the ones I'm delivering, still not worth it. Oy vey. Oy vey. Wow, I can earn a lot of money by selling that hard skin. I can earn 100 monies. Cool. Cool. Is there like an end game like money sink in this? Or is it actually just completely and utterly worthless to be working towards money anything, just in general? Check the mail. Will we meet again? Why does everyone know my address, and why does everyone just send me money? Or not money, mail. Like, I don't want your guys' mail. I don't want you talking to me. I don't. Actually, is the mail system actually how Monolith works? Is that why it's so vital for their infrastructure? Everyone doesn't like talking to each other. They're just pen pals. And like the Monolith system is just how you send mail? Is that how it works? I'm going to assume that's how it works. It's the closest thing we've gotten to an explanation about what the heck Monolith is. And why it's vital for everything in universe. I was able to make up with my mom and dad all because of that omen. But I haven't been able to thank him. Thank them? Yeah. I thought about asking you, Ein, but I'd really like to tell them myself. I'm sure they already left the Jade Forest. But I'll leave a letter at the place we used to play together in case they come back. I won't go alone, of course. I hope we can meet again one day. Cool, I don't need you to tell me that. I don't need that follow-up about how you're pining for a robot, man. I really don't. Really don't. There's enough animes of that out there already. Yeah, there's a lot of animes about that. Wait. I need to get a list going sometime. How many animes are out there where the protag just really likes a robot? Like a bit too much. Like way too much, actually. Because I'm curious. I really am. There's probably already a wiki out there that perfectly has how many animes do that. So curious now. What I'm also curious about is why they made doing this specific action so insufferably slow. It's so weird. It's
pretty good wing exercise.
like, just don't make it that slow. That's it. I get the grid-based movement when you're putting down seeds or doing any sort of farming thing. That's in a lot of farming games. And it's fine. It honestly is. It's perfectly fine. It's just... they handle it better because you're either A, already moving on a grid when you're moving around the game, or B, it's not so insufferably slow. Like, trying to put seeds out in this game is a solid, like, 50-50 chance of whether or not you'll be able to plant the seeds while staying in the seed planting, like, lock-on grid system, basically. Because if you don't put something down again, you just immediately leave it because it realized you're locked in a super slow system. They didn't program it well, and they knew, which is why your character occasionally just snaps out of it, even though you still have the seeds equipped. They were aware they programmed that bit stupidly. They just were aware. Okay, I need 100 stellar wheat, 30 dress lettuce, 4 more carrots. Probably need to get 100 carrots after that, yeah. Uni onions, need 15. How much does it cost to get another field going? Pretty certain this entire area over here can start being cleared out for fields, like all the way, probably back to here, actually. Yeah, this all looks like field area, honestly. Yeah. So yeah, it's probably just going to cost more and more money and materials. May as well check to see if I can do that right now, if it's locked until I do a certain story, whatever. Because honestly, I wouldn't mind just playing the game and getting enough money to unlock that stuff to start working towards the OnlyFans wishlist thing. Just so I can see what the heck's at the end of it. Because I'm curious, like, is she the way I get bombs? Because we've gone through several dungeons and a lot of them, well, they all need bombs to get through a certain area. Yeah. Do it, man. Get that farm size up. Tell you what. Get that going. I may as well fish or whatever and try to just make some extra money on the side. That way, because that took all my money right there. But that way, I'll have some money to go into possibly buying more seeds. Yeah, it'll work out. Like, honestly, I don't know if there's even a reason to fish at different points. Like, I'm certain there's different fish. I don't know if it's like, yeah, you want to fish over at the dock town or whatever, because they have the best selling fish kind of thing. I don't know if they put enough effort into this game for that. I really don't. I'm kind of going to assume they didn't. Which one was the... Can I pull up my map? There's a fishing spot there and a fishing spot there. Let's go for the one over here. Just, yeah.
That thing is terrifying. Curiosity.
As I was saying, just having your opinion on the internet almost always makes people upset. And I can understand in some scenarios. Like the scenarios where it's an objectively very bad opinion. And by that, I mean like, oh, I'm totally okay with kicking puppies or whatever. That's a very bad opinion to have. And you should be hated for being okay with harming another living creature. Especially physically when the creature can't comprehend why you're harming it. Much less like a baby creature. So, I understand people getting upset at that sort of scenario. Yeah, totally makes sense. But when you're just saying, yeah, I don't like this game because it's written bad and it has other issues where it's like, the gameplay is just not good or whatever. I wasn't really enjoying it. The gameplay loop seemed horrible. XYZ. It's not really a valid reason to hate someone over. But people hating those kind of opinions is the entire reason I had to spend an entire episode and a half explaining why I dislike Final Fantasy. Because anytime I say I dislike Final Fantasy, people get upset at me. And, I don't know, it forces people to become more jaded in their opinions and more aggressive in their opinions, I guess you could say. Obviously, we live in a post-internet universe where this sort of behavior is very normalized. I'm not saying having a differencing of opinions is bad. Like, I think even in the episodes where I was like, I don't like Final Fantasy, I think I even said like, yeah, but you're allowed to like Final Fantasy and tell me why you like it. Because outright having a differing of opinions is meant to lead to discussion. To being like, oh, what don't you like about it? It's like, oh, I don't like this. Oh, well, I don't exactly agree with this, but I like it because of this. It's like, oh, I can understand why you like it because of this kind of thing. It's meant to be a means of discussing. Everyone has differences of opinions. But when you get on the internet, like I said, Argentinian. Yeah, Argentinian? Yeah, that's a new one. A silver-colored fish with black stripes. It is said to bring good luck, especially to those who can catch a lot of them. So just stockpiling your luck. Yeah, looks like an angelfish. Very nice. But when you're on the internet, usually you end up in a community that shares interests. Like I said, the only social media I'm semi-active on is Reddit, because it's basically just a bunch of forums of interest I have. The issue with that is because you're in a community of shared interests, it becomes an echo chamber of how those interests should be. And the echo chamber effect is somebody has an opinion and it's echoed by a majority of individuals. And now, if you don't share said opinion and don't echo that thought process, it becomes an issue where everyone dislikes you for not going along the grain. Not exactly an echo chamber, but when it comes to Japan, Japan is a very conformist country. They dislike individuals who go against what Japan considers the norm and acceptable. And that's why there's very extreme versions of counterculture in Japan. Because having an entire conformist country kind of effing sucks, especially for the well-being of the mental health of the people in the country. So take that same conformist mentality of everyone in this community needs to act a certain way and be a certain way, and micro scale it to an online forum-based community or a social media community. And that's where you get the echo chamber effect, where anyone who doesn't share the same sentiment will be ousted by the community at large. And that's annoying, because it leads to a true statement, albeit a very horrifying statement, of anytime you share your opinion on the internet, people are going to hate you for it. I don't think people comprehend how horrific that statement is, and the fact that it's true. The internet is a means to literally talk to everyone around the world. It is a means of talking to everyone
Thank you.
that has access to the internet. You can get information at such a way that nobody would be able to comprehend it 50 years ago. Like, there is a generation still alive that, like, in their youth, they wouldn't be able to comprehend how grand the information you can gain from the internet is. How many people you can connect with at any given moment. The internet, it's freaking astounding how great it is. It is probably one of the best inventions ever invented. Yet we're being showcased more and more that you're not allowed to freely think while posting upon it, because doing so will make a large amount of people angry at you. A literal tool used for information is not allowing in a lot of subsects of it free thinking, questioning, and contrasting the normal thought process in those subsects, which is necessary for things to grow. Things need to be challenged. Things need to be questioned. Things need to be pointed out if they're not acceptable. And when they are, solutions need to be found as to why it's that way and whether or not it should stay that way. This is in every aspect of human culture. If we don't question things, we're not going to figure out how they work. If we don't figure out how they work, we aren't going to understand whether or not they are safe or healthy, so on, so forth. If we didn't question whether or not a berry was poisonous just because 5 people ate the berry and then died, maybe we'd go extinct. It's a very simple, like, analogy to it, but it holds true. I mentioned earlier in this episode the tropes of what that child was going through and how it's used a lot in media. Tropes are a showcase of media as a whole falling into routines. And although these routines can be nice, the Christmas movies I was mentioning earlier are Hallmark movies, which those of you that know that Hallmark movies are some of the samiest movies out there. They will constantly show the same movie over and over with just tweaking like a few aspects of it. Like, oh, well, we changed the setting from an office setting to a suburban setting to a farm setting, but it's the same story. Or we changed the characters where now it's the woman who's a workaholic that needs to find love as opposed to the man kind of thing. But it's the same story over and over. Hallmark movies are just tropes, fine-tuned and just constantly on repeat, which leads to every movie feeling the same. And where there can be comfort in that, because my dad, before he passed, was constantly watching these movies. And that was because his mind was going. And there was comfort in knowing what was happening next. And there was comfort in not having to forget what was about to happen and what happened beforehand. There's comfort in routine. But the constant showcase of media never changes leads to stagnation, because never changing is stagnation. And let's be effing honest. Is anyone out there okay with art forms never changing and always being the same? I know I just popped to say, let's pop another. Episode's about to be over with. Are you guys honestly okay with Nothing when it comes to any form of art. Movies, writing, music, games, anything. Heck, videos, whatever you're watching, if not this. Never changing. Always being the exact same. Are you okay with that? Because the basis of slowly changing that is having opinions about it. And the internet, a means of everyone talking about a media piece or anything in their daily life, whether it be the fact that an area has a bunch of potholes on their way to work or whatever, is the perfect place to share your opinion with other people who may be able to also like learn from it and grow from it. And the internet is a place that if you share your opinion on, people are going to hate you. And that's horrifying. Anyways, guys, it's been an episode. Sorry to get weird at the end of it. Anyways, I'll talk to you in another episode of Harvestella. And until then, ciao.